Oklahoma has received accolades from academic researchers for its universal pre-kindergarten program. Oklahoma's pre-K was even praised by President Barack Obama in his 2013 State of the Union address. But while the state is doing a good job at getting children ready for kindergarten, there is a problem. Since 2002, by the time they reach fourth grade, Oklahoma students consistently score below the national average in reading. Educators are trying to figure out why that is happening, as a new law goes into effect that will force low-performing third-grade readers to repeat third grade.
Here we go, we're going to jog.
Oklahoma is one of only 2 states in the nation which offers pre-K in all public schools. 75% of Oklahoma's children are enrolled in pre-K, and research has shown it gives children a boost when entering kindergarten.
All of the children that participate in a quality early childhood program for 1 year in Tulsa Public Schools do better than their peers.
Andy McKenzie is head of the pre-K program at Tulsa Public Schools. For years, he has worked with Georgetown University professors who chose Tulsa as a research site to determine the effectiveness of its pre-K. Dr. Bill Gormley headed up the project.
The graduates of the Tulsa pre-K program are much better off in kindergarten than their peers. So they are 9 months ahead of their peers in pre-reading skills, 7 months ahead of their peers in pre-writing skills, and 5 months ahead of their peers in pre-math skills.
Despite the advances made in pre-K, student progress slows between kindergarten and third grade. Third graders across the state are doing poorly on the end-of-the-year reading tests. To address that, lawmakers recently amended the state's Reading Sufficiency Act, which now requires a child to repeat the third grade if spring test scores show they are not reading at grade level. Tracy Bales is the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning for Tulsa Public Schools.
If we continue on the path that we're on in Tulsa, approximately 23% of our third graders would be retained. It's unacceptable. It's just not okay.
The figures are even worse for the Oklahoma City School District, where roughly half of third graders can't read at grade level.
We don't yet really know what and how high-quality, scaled early childhood experiences are going to interact with what goes on in traditional elementary schools, much less longer term after that.
Stephen Dow is the executive director of Tulsa's Community Action Project, or CAP. It focuses on reducing poverty by providing high-quality early childhood education from infancy to 4 years of age. He says there is no statewide research to track the impact of pre-K on Oklahoma students. But Dow says CAP is following the progress of its own students who enter the Tulsa or Union public school districts.
We're definitely not showing that the kids are where we want them to be in terms of their level of achievement. Now, they are often doing better than other kids that were similar to them who didn't get into that experience, but that's not what our end goal is. Our end goal is for them to do well in absolute terms.
It's very difficult to know what factors account for the lack of persistence of pre-K gains over time.
Dr. Gormley believes a contributing factor may be that public schools have not made appropriate changes in K through 3 teaching methods.
So if you really want to capitalize on the gains from pre-K, you need to ratchet up the level of instruction in kindergarten and first grade and second grade and third grade to take advantage of those initial gains so that you also have subsequent gains in each and every class following pre-K.
TPS is launching a kindergarten through second grade phonics program that uses computer technology.
It gives us real-time data every single day and allows us to know exactly where the kids are so that the teacher can differentiate for the next day.
TPS is also starting to align pre-K curriculums among its schools so a student won't be lost when transferring to a new environment.
Some we found moved as many as 9 times in a year within Tulsa Public Schools to different buildings and different schools when their parents moved to different areas. So And that seems to be prevalent often with students of poverty.
Mackenzie says learning may also depend on a child's environment from birth to 3 years.
We're talking about closing the gap. Can we do it in a year when mom and dad and that child have been in that environment for 3 years and they haven't had rich language, print environments, all experiences out in the real world to try and figure out how everything works and fits together? No, they haven't.
Everything that we know about the brain research suggests to us that those first 3 years are the point when some of the critical neural pathways and brain architecture is being established. And we know that what matters most during those earliest years is the interaction that young children have with adults that they interact with.
Dow says daycare workers and the quality of care they provide children factor in a child's development.
So we have an acute shortage of supply in this state for high quality child care settings for those parents who need full-time child care. And so unfortunately, many, many young children are being left in environments which are not ideal environments for young children.
Tulsa parent Jenny Dexter says 2 of the daycare facilities she placed her child in went out of business.
She's been in a total of 4 daycares in her 3 years of life. And 3 of those daycares were in a 2-year span.
Dexter and other working parents don't qualify for infant to 4-year-old programs like CAP or EduCare because they make too much money. So all children don't receive the same opportunities.
We've had one mom who had her first child that didn't go to EduCare and her second 2 that did, and she said, so much difference in the way the second 2 are compared to the first one. It makes a huge difference.
So I look at our pre-K program as an intervention for all of our children, where we're serving 85% poverty of our 40,000 children. We are an intervention for those families.
To achieve reading success by 3rd grade, a child must have good verbal skills. Educators say children whose parents are well educated have a distinct advantage.
They acquire 1,500 more words per hour than students of poverty. And so over the time, from the time they're born until the age of 4, they've acquired 32 million more words.
Reading and verbal skills generally depend a lot on parents. Reading and verbal skills generally depend a lot on your playmates, your friends, your peers. Reading and verbal skills generally depend a lot on the community and the neighborhood.
So, if a child does not develop vocabulary and learn to speak and form sentences properly in their environment, learning to read in school is critical.
For young children, and again, research-based, if we don't do it by about age 8, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, for us to catch them up.